guys, it's your boy Goblins. Welcome back to some more Dark Souls 3 stuff. We're actually going to talk about the patch notes again. So when the patch notes first dropped, I made a video, and that video made a lot of people mad because they're like, you don't actually know anything about these patch notes. And truly, I didn't, but there was a lot of mad people on my video. Now, I just want to clarify a few things, and there's a couple things mentioned on that video that I'm just like, hey, I just gotta let you guys know I'm trying. So I made that patch video the day the patches came out, and literally nobody had any idea of what anything did because the Japanese translation to English was so poor for the patch notes. So therefore, I made a patch notes video saying, hey, here's some patch notes, but we don't really know what they are, what it means, and I try to go through them as like funny and as comedic slash not comedic slash serious as I could. And a lot of people got frustrated because they were just like, this guy knows nothing. But I can promise you, that day when the patch notes dropped, everyone was just like, what the fuck? Like, what does any of this mean? And I was in that same boat. I just happened to make a video about it. So these patches dropped on April 28th, and now that we've had about half a month or so to sit on these patch notes and patches, we actually kind of know what's going on and what happened with the patches. And I want to go back over that video and kind of just talk about everything that did happen and what the changes actually mean. This is everything I have actually gathered and researched online so far as to what in the patch notes actually has changed. And of course, a couple of you guys did help me out in the comments as well, so I do appreciate that as well. And I'll be giving credit where credit is due, of course. So I'm going to read off the same patch notes that came out April 28th, off Extra Life, and we're going to go over what actually changed for that stuff. So the first one is fixed for an issue where players would not receive a due item if they were summoned to a multiplayer session while talking to an NPC or Covenant. So what would happen is you'd get an item, and mid-item you got summoned, and because of that error, you actually wouldn't receive the item that you would earn while being summoned from another Covenant. So that issue was apparently fixed across all consoles. As well as conditions to get Rosaria's finger is eased. Snapslav dropped a comment showing everything that this means, and that is, you may now access the features of changing your appearance and reallocating your stats without officially joining their fingers and merely finding Rosaria. Previously, you had to give Rosaria a pale tongue in order to access these options, and give her a pale tongue officially enlisted you, and made several quest lines fail if they weren't already completed. So this meant that the quest lines that you interacted with Rosaria's fingers wouldn't actually fail immediately, and you could still interact with Rosaria and switch all your stuff up if you wanted to, your stats, your appearance, and everything by offering pale tongues, without actually joining the Covenant and failing all those quest lines. Because once you join that quest line, you're pretty much considered an enemy to a lot of people in the game so far. That's all. I don't want to spoil it in case you guys haven't actually played the game yet. So thank you, Snapslav, for correcting me on that one. It's good to know that I had like a full description of what actually happened, and now we all have a better understanding of what that means. And the next one is, if they haven't visited the intended grave, players will not be teleported there. So what this meant is that some players would actually get auto-summoned into the intended grave without actually exploring that area whatsoever. So they had no idea that that area didn't even exist. And I mean, being in that area, not being in that area ever before, was probably a pretty big spoiler once they got there and were auto-summoned as like a blue bro or something like that. Kicks cannot be parried. It's exactly what it reads. Kicks cannot be parried. It's good. And the next one was the Crystal Sage will appropriately reappear even after he was warped. So what happened apparently in this fight with the Crystal Sage was that the Crystal Sage would straight up just never appear ever again after he warps out, or he would reappear and then he'd be an invulnerable or something and you could not kill him. So that was before the patch. Now the patch is out, of course. It's all good. He's fixed up. It's good. But now we have clarification on what actually happened. He would just be invulnerable sometimes, or he would just straight up not appear for anybody. The next one was self-explanatory as well, where they fixed an issue where the Dragon Slayer armor would die before the fight begins. Once again, self-explanatory. He would just die as you started the fight, and it'd kind of be like a free win, which is pretty sweet. The next one is that Night Slayer Storig will no longer gesture unintentionally. So what he would do is he would gesture to you because the game thought that he'd killed you, and he would gesture after you're dead, but he would gesture thinking he killed you with like a finisher move of some sort, but then he would just stand back up and then you could take him out. So not that it was a huge issue, but it was a thing before. Sigurd or Katarina will now be able to properly rescue Grey Rat, okay? They're welcome, once conditions are met. So once again, to keep it kind of spoiler free, Sigurd would save Grey Rat at some point for doing a thing. Apparently it wasn't working for some people and Grey Rat will just die, but now that quest line's fixed. And the next one's pretty self-explanatory as well. If the player is equipped with a ring that increases max HP, stats will now be properly reflected when opening the equipment screen. And the voice chat icon will now be displayed properly under the Covenant panel. Some people had issues with that once again. Items, bonfire, and quick game option are now appropriately active when disconnecting online. Once again, sometimes it was was just grayed out and it would let you disconnect. Whether there was a phantom or not, you just couldn't sometimes. And if the game disconnects during a multiplayer session, it will no longer crash and return to the title screen. Sometimes that happened. It happened to me sometimes. It's true. Other issues causing crashes and returning to the title screen have been fixed. And for consoles, there was adjustments of the balance of the game, improvements of performance, and various bug fixes that have been made. So those were more or less minor things. PC now, of course, has this same patch, which is awesome. Things such as being sent immediately to your world, being sent to Firelink Shrine, and being changed in full dragon body status. Things like that. Once again, another translation, but that's more so for the PC side. Console had that right on the 28th, which is nice as well. And now for the patch 1.06 notes. So once again, as you guys know, we didn't really have much detail on these notes. It had to do with the Dark Moon Covenant fix, which didn't really work at all, and that is pretty much what people are looking for. Everyone wants to be a blue bro, and now we finally have a little bit more details and all that stuff as well. So thank you to Textralia for data mining the 1.06 patch, and now we actually know what that patch did. Now 1.06 was just a regulation update, which was supposed to balance out PvP, fix blue bros, all that good stuff, and it didn't really do anything. And on top of that, once again, the patch notes were super vague. But now we kind of have a better idea of what they did because of Textralia's data mining. So the first one is that From said the efficiency of the following categories has been adjusted: short sword, twin sword, and magic. Now saying short sword was actually a mistranslation, and they actually meant the dagger subclass. And Textralia made a general post on Reddit talking about the approximate values and percentages that all these weapons changed at. And we're going to start with those daggers because, once again, it was a mistranslation, so let's talk about the daggers. And these percentages also mean an increase in infused weapons as well, except for apparently they've been rounded a little bit more generously by FromSoft to give a better idea. So the first one's the Parry Dagger, which received 10% extra damage on its baseboard. The Dagger received a 5% boost. The Mailbreaker received a 10% boost. Bandit's Knife at 5%. The Harp at 10%. The Rotten Grew Dagger at 10%, Corvian Great Knife at 10%, the Handmaid's Dagger at 7%, the Scholar's Candlestick at 10%, the Tailbone Short Sword, and the Brigand Twin Daggers by 20%. So the Brigand Twin Daggers are dual-wielding weapons, and they did make minor changes to the dual-wielding weapons, and that was that they had an increase in stamina cost for all L1 attacks for all twin weapons, meaning that the damage has been rebalanced on these attacks when necessary. Now for the magic changes, they made it so that the Farron Hail had a smaller cone of damage, meaning that the projectiles were a little bit more tight and were a little more focused. The Crystal Hail now fires 3 volleys instead of 1, and the Farron Dart and Greater Farron Dart apparently has slightly better cast time off these magic changes, and apparently that's all. Now of course everyone's been talking about Poise, and I was doing some research as well and noticed that Square actually made an official statement about the Poise Stat, and it reads, "Ashen ones, we have read multiple threads about the status of the Poise statistics. We thank you for your passion about the game, and we want to offer you an official answer on this subject. The Poise Stat is currently working as intended by the developers and is not turned off, as some have theorized. The stat works differently than in past games and is more situational, which seems to be the reason for the confusion. Now the Poise Stat back in the older games used to mean how much you got staggered when you got hit by certain things. Now in Dark Souls 3, your poise dictates how many invisibility frames you will lose per hit. The higher the poise, the more iframes you have. So it really affects how you get hit and how hard you get hit when you're rolling away within invisibility frames or dodging things or backstepping or whatever. And that is apparently how poise works. Has to do with your rolling, invisibility frames for the most part, and I'm kind of just giving you an idea on that one. Now time to talk about the big thing that everyone wants to understand, and that is why can't I be summoned as a blue bro? So From for update 1.06 said that the range of matching level of the Blade of the Dark Moon and Blue Sentinels have been adjusted. But what does that actually mean? So FromSoft didn't really lie about increasing the level range for Blue Bros and Blue Sentinels and Dark Moon Blades and whatnot. They were quite honest about that, but it comes down to a couple more things. So let's say I'm level 100 Dark Moon Blade. That means I can find a host that's level 80 to 120. So they did increase the initial range. On top of that, it's also adjusted by your weapon level. The higher amount of weapon upgrades you have, the less likely it is for you to be summoned for anyone that has lesser or higher weapons than you. But considering the cap is 10, you of course can't get anyone higher than plus 10 with your weapon level. So people are kind of speculating that it might be best to keep your weapons at like plus 8 so that you can connect with anyone with a plus 10 weapon, all the way down to a plus 5 or plus 6 weapon, because that makes a huge difference within your connection. Now of course if you have a password on your game and you just want to connect with friends, it completely negates all of that stuff. It negates all the stats so you can bring in your friend. But as far as auto summons and everything goes, it is a huge contributor. So as a day ago or so, FromSoft made an official statement on how PvP and co-op covenants and auto summon covenants all work. and how they've been adjusted and how you can better your connection. Big shout out to Michelaria, I think that's how you pronounce it, Michelaria, on Reddit for translating the tweet and bringing all the information, of course, to the English Reddit. Now it reads, the flow regarding online multiplayer matching is as follows. Number 1, players who do not match regulation versions are disregarded. Meaning if you don't have the current regulation updates, you're not going to be able to matchmake with anyone that has the newer updates, of course. Players who can only connect on certain network types, such as NAT3, are disregarded. Number 3 reads, with the host as a basis, players with characters who are outside a certain level range are disregarded. So once again, that has to do with your item level range and the Covenant's actual level range. Number 4, players in a different region are disregarded. Number 5, with the host as a basis, players who have their strongest maximum upgraded weapon surpass a certain range are disregarded. And that's, of course, once again where that item/weapon level comes into play. Number 6, only during password matchmaking can players match while ignoring both character level and weapon upgrade level as long as they have matching passwords. So once again, passwords on negates everything. Now the stipulation to the second one, talking about NAT3, is if your network type is strict NAT3, you may be able to open up internet browsers, but chat functions and online game connections can be limited, so we recommend checking the notes below. Those notes read, the distribution/division of the global IP address. You can enable your UPnP settings, and if your UPnP is disabled, unlocking the port is necessary. Then it goes on to read, even if your NAT type is 1, which is open, or 2 for moderate, there are times when it will be difficult to connect with other players. Now, going into specifics on number 4, which reads players in a different region are disregarded, it says that going to system settings, network settings, cross-region matching, and setting to matchmaking on can enable matching with players from another region, which I'm pretty sure I've done and everyone else has done as well. Now they also made a quick list concerning matching specifics and regulations as far as weapon upgrades go and as far as matching online goes. They said that during co-op play, matching will be easier the closer one is to the host's level. During PvP invasion play, either the invader and the host will be around the same level or the invader will get matched to a higher level host. And they also went and say that as for matching ranges, deciding based on the situation from here on out, we are planning to make some adjustments. So that's good. That's like really good. Now here's a list with those weapon upgrade levels that you can kind of get into. They posted this, and this is kind of what it all goes by. And it reads, players who are widely separated in terms of the highest upgraded weapon level do not get matched with each other. Only in password matchmaking settings do these terms not affect, of course. Now regardless of whether or not the weapon is in their inventory, how many of said weapon you currently bring, the highest level you upgraded a certain weapon until now will become the basis for this system to take place. As of Regulation 1.06, the adjustments are as follow. And hosts and guests are compared in both ways using this list. Now using this list, you can kind of better plan ahead for actually doing PvP stuff when you're playing the game and everything. And TVS Dota made a really nice too long didn't read on this thread, showing that a level 100 Dark Spirit Invader can find a host in the range of level 90 to 130 using the formula that they posted. A level 100 Moundmaker Invader can find a host in the range of 90 to 135. A level 100 Eldritch Faithful Invader can find a host in the range of level 60 to 120. A level 100 Blue Sentinel Summon can find a host in the range of 80 to 120. And a level 100 Dark Moon Blade Summon can find a host in the range of level 80 to 120 as well. And they said that these ranges are subject to change soon. Once again, it has a huge role to play with your actual weapons in your inventory and everything. Now, as great as all that information is, unfortunately, with matchmaking going according to your weapon level, it counts for any weapon you've earned whatsoever. So speculation used to be that if you put a weapon in the box, you were able to matchmake with people. Let's say if you had a +8 weapon, you can matchmake 3 levels below you, or 3 levels higher than you, or 5 levels higher than you, or whatever it was. But it accounts for any item you own. So you'd literally have to make a new character, take into consideration that you could potentially only be summoned with people that have +5 weapons or +9 weapons or whatever, if you, let's say, had a +8 weapon, because it apparently varies on your Covenant as well. And it once again doesn't matter if it's in a box or in your inventory, you've earned that weapon. So if you have a +10 weapon, you have to go and make a new character to get within that kind of sweet spot range of how everyone might be playing. Or just cross your fingers and hope that everyone is at +10 weapons, because that seems to be a thing. Honestly, at this point, I would hope that everyone does have some form of +10 weapon, or at least +8, so then I can matchmake with you, you know? And that's all the information that FromSoft has given us. So I would love to tell you guys that Blue Bros is fixed. Finally, we can be a bunch of Blue Sentinels and be a bunch of Dark Moon Blades. It's gonna be awesome. But realistically, they don't need to fix the game or the summoning range. They need to fix the fucking Covenants. And trust me, I'm just as frustrated as you are. are. I want to get that blue bro ring. I want to get that blue bro miracle. I gotta have it. I gotta get that achievement / trophy. But I can't because farming proofs for hours off Silver Knights is a pain in the ass, and it's something I really don't want to do, you know? So don't take the hate out on me. I'm just the guy making the video and giving you guys as much information as you could possibly get and fixing my statements from before in which I didn't know anything about the patch really, to now I know quite a bit about the patch, and here's a statement from FromSoft, but that doesn't fix our situation. But now you know exactly what the patch did, and it's not like some vague translation from Japanese. We have an idea of what everything did now. That's cool. That's awesome. But the fact that FromSoft has went and said that they are working on it is promising, and I really hope that's the case. So that's everything I got to talk about for today, guys. As I always say, drop a like for your boy, Goblins. And of course, I'll be back here with more Dark Souls content, so stay tuned, stay subscribed, and hopefully we'll hear more patch notes coming down the pipeline, hopefully about fixing the blue bros. So take it easy, guys. Have a general good, and I'll see you then. Peace out!